going to do is roll it in some gomasio. Now, gomasio is a sesame seed mix. And all I'm going to do, firstly, is just add some beautiful oil, just the tiniest little bit, just to make it stick. So I just want that to stick a little bit. The natural oils of the fish are, of course, also going to make it stick. Okay, so from there, we'll just let that sit together. To accompany this, I'm going to create a soba noodle salad. I've cooked them off. I've added 2 cups of water, brought that to the boil, added the noodles. Then I added a cup of cold water, so it reduces, cools it down, bring it back to the boil, then I added another cup. Now you can repeat that once or twice if you want to. If that's too confusing, the recipe's on the back of the pack, so I think you'll be right. So I've just cooked those off. I tossed them in a little bit of mirin, which is a Japanese rice wine. It just gives a lovely acidity. So I just drizzled a little bit of the mirin on it earlier, just so it would retain its volume. You could also use a bit of sesame oil. I'm actually going to use a little bit of Kalis lemon oil because I love this stuff. And a lot of what I do, I call conscious cuisine. So where has it come from? How have you cooked it? More importantly, what's the effect it's going to have again on your mind and body and soul? Just using a pair of tongs or your hands, because you've been born with those, just gently break it up a little bit. So I'm just going to toss a little bit of the prepared seaweed salad. This already has some sesame seeds through it. Just a little sprinkle of spring onions. You can finely chop them if you prefer. But again, I want the colour. And then I've got some pickled ginger, which you'll also find everywhere now. And while these flavours are quite robust, these ingredients, they can afford to be stirred through a little bit and just broken up. You might like to add some fresh soybeans if you could find them. And to give it a little bit more texture, another, let's say a teaspoon of the sesame seed or the prepared sesame mix, the gomasio. The beauty of this dish is that while I celebrate fresh and abundant food, these foods can all be stored, of course, in the pantry, and then you add the vitality and you add the green vegetables and you add the protein choice, of course. Just mix it up as if you were creating pasta. And I just want to whisk together some dressing ingredients. Okay, so I've got tamari, which is the wheat-free soy, which you're probably all very familiar with. And then I'm just adding a little bit of brown rice vinegar. So again, I want the piquancy. Basically, I'm making a Japanese style vinaigrette. Tiny bit of mirin, because we've already got some through the noodles. I'm just going to whisk them together gently. So I don't need too much because there's already a bit of dressing there. I'm just going to add a little bit of this. You slowly, if you're making a Dijonnaise or a mayonnaise, just whisk in a bit of the olive oil, because this has got it's ginger infused, so it's going to give a lovely flavour to it. So I'm just going to gently add that through. And we're going to let that sit while we sear off the fish. Again, I'm going to use a little bit of the ginger infused oil, not too much. We don't need too much. It's not going to necessarily stick to the base of the pan. But we want to get a little bit of that flavour rolling through it. So you want to be very gentle with this and don't burn the sesame seeds because you'll change or destabilise their essential oils. Because it's sashimi grade, we can afford to eat this rare or medium rare. We'll just see how it comes out of the pan. So don't be afraid to undercook it as such. That can go in too. So we're going to lose a little bit of the sesame, but I just want it to colour. I'm going to add a little bit of shredded nori. So I've just snipped that with some kitchen scissors. So just a little bit through it and then we'll finish it off as well. And of course you can have this as a very hot dish. It would make a beautiful Japanese autumn broth with lots of shiitake mushrooms and maybe a fish or a vegetable stock, or a dashi stock would be more traditional. So the fish is only cooked minimally, but it's going to be enough just to sear the outside. I'm going to start with the smaller end. I'd probably let that sit in the pan for about 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll just leave that piece to the side. Just layer it gently across the top and then just garnish with a little bit of the extra nori and perhaps an additional sprinkle of the goma, the gomasio. And then just to finish it off, just a hint of the lemon oil, just a tiny little drizzle, just to again to release a little bit of the acidity. So, celebrating the healing properties of salmon, a Japanese-inspired soba noodle salad with various seaweeds and sesame seeds. So that's our first dish.